We'll be talking to you about taking ransomware to task with next generation Windows Defender. I'm Tim. That's Bill. That's Shaker. We'll be here for about 20 minutes or not. Let's go on to the next one. So our agenda, we'll talk about the ransomware landscape as we see it today. We'll talk about what's new in Windows 10, what's coming soon from a Windows Defender Security Center perspective, and then Bill will be doing the Defender Cloud demo. So, anyone hear about ransomware? A little bit? No? Yes? Okay. Well, why is ransomware so detrimental? It's because inherently it's very destructive. It encrypts your items in a way that you can't recover it unless you pay the bad guy, inherently. So attacks, why are they so good? Attacks happen really fast. Verizon data breach survey in 2016 said that if an attacker sends an email to 100 people in your company, 30 will open it. 12 of those people will actually open that attachment or a link to click through, and 3 will do so in about, all will do so in about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. That's insane, right? We also did some analysis. 90% of all email malware is ransomware related. So right now, really at Microsoft, what we do is a defense in depth approach. We were going to talk about how do we prevent ransomware from getting into your device in the first place. But if it still gets there, we have approaches in layers on how to make sure that the impact is minimized. So ransomware, look back in 2016 from a global threat perspective, we see ransomware as a global threat. 15% of so ransomware is encountered in the US, but we're seeing it move more and more to the Asia-Pacific regions. A lot of that has to do with them being able to now customizing for specific languages, cultures, and behaviors. For example, in Europe, there's a lot of folks that send the PDFs for receipts, for example. A lot of the attacks in Europe are PDF related, where they look like a receipt. You click through, hey, you're infected with ransomware. Real quick, on the right, you'll see top 5 ransomware in top 5 countries. These are some of the analytics that we at Microsoft are able to provide to our Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph, which allows us to disseminate data not just to our customers, but between our products to make sure that, hey, we have the right coverage in mind. A brief look at this. We see, for example, Cerber is very big outside of Russia. Well, we know, for example, Cerber happened in the is originated in the Russian country area, surrounding areas. And one of our stipulations, for example, with Cerber per se, is that they don't want to get involved with the local authorities to have them shut themselves down. So that's one of the key things. Italy, for example, with Cretoni, they recently localized it to the Italian language, and that's why you see that greater impact. So at Microsoft, we really are able to identify some of these trends. We have a lot of hundreds of other data points, and we're able to be sure that we give that information to the necessary engineering folks, let the customers be aware of it through our MMPC blogs, through TechNet, and also make sure that the biggest thing is this is a business for cyber bad guys, so we want to make sure to make cost of doing business extremely expensive to them. From a ransomware attack vector perspective, there's 2 biggest attack vectors to the endpoint. You probably already know this. It's email and web browser. It's either a malicious link or a document or JS file that when you click into it, you'll either be ported to another server, a C2 server, where you get the malware itself, or it runs an executable on hand. On the browser, the same thing. So we understand that from a Microsoft perspective, we really want to protect the customers before it gets onto the device. How do we do that? Well, Office 365, with Office 365 Suite, we scan about 200 billion emails per month for spam and ad malware. Out of that 200 billion emails, we typically, on a monthly basis, have about 90 to 95 million identified as malware, which we stop from getting to the endpoint already. So that prevents that 12 people in 3 minutes and 45 seconds from clicking in and making you have a really bad day. From an NSS, so from an edge perspective, the other location browser, NSS Labs is a US lab that does independent studies. They rolled out a study in November of last year where they talked about, hey, out of the biggest browsers, Edge, Chrome, Firefox, which are more hardened against socially engineered malware. Their studies show that out of all of them, Edge beats out Chrome and Firefox, and also being able to block them 16 times faster That's insane. So being able to make sure that it doesn't get to your endpoint to begin with is one of the most critical things we do. On the left side, you'll see the top 10 families in ransomware right now. All these top 10, without a decryption key, you will not get your stuff back. Unless there's some sort of takedown with the bad guys or something where they store their keys, you will not get it unless you pay them. So inherently what we want to do is make sure that you're well informed about those areas and also provide you that protective layer. So ransomware volumes and trends. You'll see here, these are some of the downloader encounters that we get in our machines. As you see, it's kind of getting steady pace, a little bit lower. You know, is ransomware going away? Not necessarily. You're shaking your head. Yeah, you know it. One of the things that we're doing is maybe detecting better ahead of time to prevent it from getting to your device, right? What that means is through Edge or through email, we want to make sure that we give you that experience where you don't even see it in the first place. But if it does, we got your back. Attacks extend beyond customers, going out to businesses and private sectors. There's some numbers right now that they say FBI rolled out. First quarter was about 200 million in ransomware paid in the first quarter. Right now, what they are saying is close to 1 billion for the end of 2016. So this is definitely not a dying business, and it's growing exponentially. Click through, please. So what have we done? Windows 10 anniversary update, which was last year, we've really hardened those pillars. I mentioned a defense in depth approach. What that means is we prevent those items from attacking you in the first place. But if it does, we got you back with detect and respond. We do that with, I've already talked about Edge browser hardening and smart filter URL reputation, decreasing the email attack vector for O365. We also have cloud ML-based models that will be able to allow us to see malicious items, detonate it on our backend. If it's malicious, we'll prevent it from happening or showing up. We also did a lot of things about Windows kernel hardening. You'll probably learn a lot about device guard and application guard and all those things. Really help build that scenario. If you haven't heard about it, check it out. And then last, Windows Defender ATP, we have cloud analytics to detect attack patterns and real-time infections. Sorry, next one. So what's coming out? Creators update is coming soon. I don't think I can tell you a date, but it's coming out soon. What we've done is we've implemented and extended some of the coverage that we had already, but we're adding new things like updated exploit mitigations, platform hardening, context-based aware detections for distribution vectors, really taking them down in the beginning. Behavioral heuristics. One cool thing about Windows Defender ATP, we're able to isolate those machines that are infected. If there's processes and child processes, we'll be able to quarantine them and such. These items are offered in both the commercial and consumer offerings for Defender. And here to talk a little more about that is Shaker and Bill.
Okay, so while Shaker's getting this pulled together, what we're going to show you actually is what the new creative update interface is going to look like for the end users from consumer Windows. So let's see if you can get this pulled up here. We essentially tried to pull things together that you guys had in configuration panels previously, all into a central location that's really security-driven, single pane of glass. So.
Hey everyone, I'm Shaker. I'm a program manager on the Windows Defender team. Today we wanted to really show you the new Windows Defender Security Center that we're introducing in the Creators Update coming this spring. Basically what we did is bring all those security solutions that we had down level into one easy to use interface. You can see it as a single pane of security, a single pane of glass for security management. We want to make it as easy as possible for the end user to understand when they are not in a secure state, what action they need to take, and how to get into a secure state. So a few of the pillars that we brought in for this release are virus and threat protection. So for those familiar with the Windows Defender antivirus down level, we basically brought that all into this easy to read and easy to understand user face. You can check your scan history, your malware threats detected, and take action if anything's needed. We also have device performance and health, which is going to show you any of your Windows Update that need to happen, any device drivers that are out of date, or if your battery needs updates. this is all what you're going to see in this pillar. Firewall and network protection is where you're going to see your private, your public, and your domain network firewall protection. You'll be able to do all of what you used to do in Control Panel directly from this dashboard here. App and browser control is where you can see all of your smart screen settings to basically monitor all your app downloads directly from Edge. If you get anything from Chrome, you'll be able to turn that off. You can change to a block, warn, or off state to basically make sure all your downloads are going to be protected. And then we also added family options, which is where you can manage your security settings for your family's devices. You can take action on them. You can also manage the settings and ensure that basically your family is in a compliant state. So we're going to go back to the home screen here, and Bill's going to explain a bit about why we see this warning on this pillar. But before I get into that, does anyone know what Windows Defender cloud-based protection is? Did you know we had a cloud-based protection? Or do you guys think that we just do static signatures? Okay, so clearly there's some. So Bill's going to explain what cloud-based protection is and why it's important to keep on.
All right, thanks, Shaker. Yeah, so Windows Defender actually has had this cloud-based protection for quite a while now. What we're doing here is we're bringing it out to the forefront so you guys can actually see where the settings are located. So how this cloud-based protection works is that there is client-based classifiers that will determine whether or not files or memory or boot time DLLs are suspicious, and it will then ask the cloud, the Microsoft cloud, who has more of a global understanding about these files or these memory dumps, and we have deep learning models that are in place in the cloud, along with other heuristic models. And when that suspicious file is detected by that client classifier, we send up a signal to the cloud. The cloud then passes in that metadata about that file, and the sample itself gets detonated on our back end, which then that gets passed into our deep learning models. Once that occurs, we then get a final classification that comes out of those models, and we can respond back to the client with detection and remediation steps for those files or for the memory. So what you'll see here is, actually you can go back, shake it real quick. So you'll see that the cloud-based protection is off right now, and that's why this badge is not a green check mark, but is rather a warning sign badge. Now, I'm going to show you exactly what happens when you don't have cloud-based protection on, and then I'll show you how to actually get yourself protected with cloud-based protection from Windows Defender antivirus. So what we have here is a test application framework that you can generate brand new test ransomware samples. And so as Shaker clicks on this button, we actually generate a brand new hash and sample. Go ahead and click on that guy. And once that sample actually gets generated, oh, you lost internet. All right. So what will happen is that when that new sample gets generated, we can go out to Virus Total and show that it hasn't been seen before. However, that file will be downloaded to this endpoint without you having been protected based off of the models in the cloud. You can just go to the root directory if you need to. Bummer. Why don't you go out to the AKA MS IOAV, see if you've got internet out there. Okay. If we don't have internet, we may not be able to download a malicious file, so. Oh, it looks like that other tab actually got pulled up. No, maybe not. Okay. So, we would like to show you guys this eventually, so if you guys can stick around afterwards, we might be able to show it in one of the booths or whatnot. But I guess for now, we'll have to use our imagination because we will run out of time for this session. But essentially what you do, you go out there, it generates a new ransomware file, you download it, and you will get a prompt from the smart screen because it detects that it's coming from a URL that is known to be bad. However, many users will click past that and want to run the file anyways, given that it may have came from a sample email that they got from a friend, right? So let's try this again, see if it actually runs. And so they actually click through that. Oh, there we go. New one gets generated. So yeah, you can see this guy got pulled. So you open this up. So this is that smart screen warning you, but he's going to run this anyways. And then this endpoint's going to get owned. Essentially, this is because there's no connection up to the cloud. We're not sending up information about the file to the cloud, and so therefore now this machine had gotten ransomware. So if you can close out that ransomware there, and then go over to the settings here. Now you can deep dive in through here as well and get to the detailed settings, but we actually expose here for you a quick way to get yourself into a better protected state. So if you turn that on, now you see the badge turn from that yellow warning over to a green check. So if we go back over to the browser that we were demoing in, you can actually download the existing file using that red button there. And what this is actually going to do, like, it's going to pull it down in memory, and then it's going to ask the cloud, once that client-side classifier determines that it was suspicious, and immediately we've analyzed it in the cloud, came back to the client, and actually gave remediation steps. It's removed the file actually directly, and you'll see that there's a little notification that comes up off to the side. So that's how easy it is to get yourself connected into the cloud protection. And Shaker, I think I'll hand it off to you or Tim to kind of conclude.
So what Bill just showed there was basically we no longer only have to rely on our static signature set that's currently on the device. What you saw there was in real time, we saw the file, once we turned on the cloud, our cloud sent down a check and blocked the file from even being downloaded. So that's why the Windows Defender Antivirus Cloud is a very important asset to have and enable.
Yep. Thanks, Shaker. And talking about that defense in depth, Windows Defender definitely wants to protect you at the endpoint perspective. We have our capabilities also to be able to prevent it from going in. If you want to talk to us, we'll be here for a little bit at the booth over there. Thank you very much, guys.